Okay, great. Mia, hey, it's great meeting you. I'm Jeff Mitchell with Phoenix Film Festival and Art House Film Wire. And terrific. Are you ready to talk about driving?
Yes, I think so. If you're ready, I'm ready.
All right, great. So Max teaches Wally how to drive, which to me seemed like symbolism of prepping her for life. Now, those amusing scenes and stressful scenes, they took me back to my driving days. Could
Yeah.
you relate to Wally's stress?
Oh, 100% I could relate to Wally's stress. I actually, by the time I played Wally, I had my license already. So I knew how to drive, but it was great because I could recall back on my experience learning how to drive. And I also, okay, I know how to drive. I'm not great with highways yet. I'm still learning. And I'm not great with merging. So that's something me and Wally definitely have in common. And her struggle with merging just felt very real to my own struggle with merging. And I learned a little bit from her too. I guess we're not supposed to close our eyes on the road. So I know that now.
That's right. That's right. No, it's a whole other world that I wasn't ready for myself. So I totally get it. That's great. That's great. There was a line that I really loved that Wally said to Max, said to her dad. She said, "I bet on you." And to me, that communicated something more. It was more impactful than saying to her dad, "I love you." Did you see it in that same way?
Yeah, I 100% saw it in the same way. I mean, I think that in a lot of ways throughout the movie, we see that Max doesn't really bet on himself ever. He's so used to playing it safe, and even it's brought up that he once had a passion for music and for singing, and he never kind of pursued it because he didn't believe in himself. And I think something that's really special is that Wally believes in him wholeheartedly and fully. And she loves him so much, and she just wants what's best for him.
Oh, I think that's great. Yeah. She also mentions that, hey, you were the one that counted on me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I appreciate that. Okay, now, does Wally know? So the audience knows Max's secret, and we see him buy Wally a dress, take her on a road trip, giving her advice on the dance floor. So we know that there's something bigger, but Wally doesn't let on to the audience. Do you think deep down that Wally knew that something was going on, or was she just thinking, hey, this is just dad being dad?
I think Wally knows her dad well enough to know that maybe he's acting a little strange and that things are different. But I think she also gets mixed up in this idea of him wanting to introduce her to her mom. And so she has this idea that maybe that's why he's feeling nervous. And she's always felt a certain way about meeting her mom. And so I think that kind of meddles with it a little bit. And so she's not really sure why Max is all of a sudden acting different or strange and why he's keeping secrets. But I think she relates a lot of that back to the mom.
Oh, that's a great point. Kind of like camouflage in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Max doesn't tell Wally right away about his diagnosis, right? Now, for something like that, would you want to know right away, or would you be more apt that not knowing and finding out later?
I think I think it's different for me personally because I come from a two-parent household, which is so very different from growing up with one parent. In that, of course, I would want to know, but I totally understand that my parents sometimes, when they're given news, they go to each other first and they say, "How are we going to present this to our kids? How are we going to move about this?" And that's something that they go through together. But I think something that's so special about Max and Wally is that it's always just been the two of them, and that they sort of depend on each other and count on each other in ways that a kid and a parent probably wouldn't do that in a two-person household. But I think that Wally would have really wanted to know because they have this feeling of they went through something together, and that something was losing her mom, and they survived that together. There was no hiding anything. They went through that together. And so Wally kind of had this idea that their relationship was that we share things and that we have this shared grief together, so why can't we share this news? And I think there's that almost that hurt that he didn't share that with her.
God, oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. That's a great answer. Very insightful. Um, okay, now Wally gets into trouble on this trip, but she is really a good kid. She has a strong moral center. And I think that was a really good choice for the movie because it gives us time to really know Max and Wally, and not deal with Wally having behavioral issues outside
Yes.
outside
Yes.
of the trip. Do you think that was a good? I think it was a good choice. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be very easy. Wally's at that age where she's a teenager and she can be very annoying. And I think it'd be very easy for audience members to dislike her just because she can be an annoying teenager sometimes. But at the end of the day, Wally's really lovable because she really cares about her dad and she really, really genuinely loves him. And I think that was something really important to show. Because we've all seen teenagers being teenagers, but I think what sets Wally apart is how much she loves her dad.
Right. Oh, very cool. No, that's great. Now, on the trip, Wally's also distracted because of Glenn, who we don't like. We don't like him at all.
Yeah.
But hey, she's getting emotionally stuck at times because this could be a first love sort of thing, and it was really hard for her at times to kind of concentrate on what's happening because she's thinking about Glenn. Do you think it was really hard for her to kind of keep her eye on basically the trip, or what were your thoughts about her kind of dealing with Glenn, who was back at home?
I mean, I think I learned a lot from playing Wally. And I think what was really cool about playing Wally is that we're both at this same point in our lives where we're both coming of age at the same time. And so while Wally was discovering all of these things about boys, I was kind of learning through playing her. And Wally, over the course of the movie, kind of learns that she deserves more than a boy who isn't going to give her everything she deserves, and a boy who doesn't want her back. And that was something that I learned about myself through playing Wally, was that sometimes you shouldn't have to settle and you deserve a boy who will be kind to you.
Right, and that was a great lesson. No, I really appreciate that in the movie for sure. Now, did John and you get some prep time ahead of time to basically work on the characters, or how did that all work out? Did you have a lot of time, or a few weeks, or how did that work out?
We actually met in person about a week before we started shooting. It was very, very quick because I had just gotten into the country. And so I did like a 2-week quarantine for COVID and everything. It was like
Right.
the day that I got out of quarantine, we met in person, and it was like a week before we started shooting. So all very, very quick. And I think in any other situation with any other person, it probably would have been really hard to create that chemistry and to create that bond right away and so quickly with so little time to prepare. But because it was John, it was just so easy. And I got so lucky that I got to work with John. I think we fell into that father-daughter dynamic really naturally. And we spent a lot of time together on set. And I couldn't have asked for a better scene partner.
Oh, that's terrific. That's great to hear. So, well, Mia, hey, thank you for meeting with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck with the movie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.